Welcome to the Big Byte class, SAP Availability Check, and its options for sales order, and stock transport order confirmation. This class is part of the Big Byte program, SAP Supply Chain Performance Optimization. For more information, send me an email or go to our website. I am also updating my blog on a regular basis with new information. Let's get right into it, and discuss the screen which comes up after an availability check has been carried out. The order may be a sales order, or it may be a stock transport order from another distribution center or plant. When a sales representative or a planner enters an order into the system, a customer's requested date and quantity is maintained. The requested date is the date when the customer wants to receive the product. From that requested date, the system subtracts transit and loading time, and therefore arrives at a material availability date. SAP's availability check always examines product availability to the material availability date. Depending on the result of the availability check, we can now control a number of things. First, can we and do we want to confirm the requested quantities to the requested date? Second, should we transfer the requirement to MRP and production? And third, do we have to consider the order as lost, or do we communicate to planning and production that this demand has priority and needs to be treated as an order which needs to be expedited? All of the above is controlled and submitted by way of the fixing indicator and its setting, in combination with the check marks or buttons you press on this screen. Let's look at the various possibilities. In case the availability check was successful, then we can confirm a one-time delivery on the requested delivery date. In our example, this did not happen, and therefore a one-time, on-time delivery cannot be confirmed. The choices we are left with are either a complete delivery for when the entire quantity is going to be available, or a delivery proposal with partial quantities at various later dates. Both these options require the customer's consent. Should the customer not agree, then we cannot confirm the dates or the quantities in the order. If that is not possible, then the other option is a complete delivery to the date that was deemed possible by our current inventory and receipt situation. In our example, January 7th is the earliest possible date where a complete delivery could take place. What's also interesting to note is that to make the complete delivery by January 7th, the complete quantities would have to be available for delivery on the 3rd of January, the material availability date. Then there is also the possibility of a delivery proposal. In this section, the availability result tells us if we can provide the customer with partial deliveries at an earlier date. In our example, we could deliver to the customer 240 kilograms on the 3rd of January, and the rest of the required quantities, 600 kilograms, on the 7th of January. The customer sales representative, or planner, will now, together with the customer, make a decision as to which of the three options to take, and how to proceed with the transfer of the requirement to production or procurement. For that process, the setting of the indicator fixed quantity and date is the deciding factor. As we will see, depending on how you set the indicator, and what option you choose, the system behaves completely different. The Continue button, on the top bar of the screen, only appears when a one-time, on-time delivery to the requested date is not possible. Clicking the Continue button in this instance means that we do not confirm any dates or any quantities. The check marks, however, indicate that you will make a commitment to the customer. In other words, you confirm quantities and dates, either as a complete delivery to a later date, or as partial deliveries to later dates as what the customer requested. On the following slides, we will go through the options the sales representative, in coordination with the customer, has to communicate throughout the supply chain what needs to happen. We have to distinguish, though, between make to order and make to stock. When talking about the actions we can take, after we are given the result of the availability check, we need to distinguish between products that are made to stock, and products that are made to order. Let us get started with make to order, or products that do not have a forecast, and therefore, are not planned ahead of time. Make to order products are usually always checked with replenishment lead time, because that is the time it takes to make them available for delivery. For these products, you may check for any leftover inventory, but usually, the customer cannot expect to receive these products right away. Quite differently, a make-to-stock product is planned and procured, or produced, ahead of time and should therefore be available right away. This is an important distinction and requires different decision-making during sales order entry. Let's look at options that we can take when we have the result of an availability check for a make-to-order product. Option 1. The most common, and the one that should be used most of the time. Either the requested delivery date is met, or the delivery proposal is accepted. In the availability results screen, the sales representative either accepts the one-time delivery to the requested delivery date, or confirms the delivery proposal, by clicking on the check mark, and fixes the quantity and dates. That means that the customer has accepted the delivery date, and they should. They cannot expect to get a make-to-order item before the end of the replenishment lead time. An MRP and production will now work towards that date. This is how the process should work for make-to-order items, 95% of the time. In the second instance, the customer insists on getting the product before the time it requires to make it, and the sales representative confirms the order to the customer with a date that cannot be kept. It is okay to not fix the date here, so that the order is considered in back order processing. What is not okay is that the sales representative confirms the order. There is a better option, which we will talk about in a second. This is not a good option at all, and should never be executed for make-to-order products. The third option causes lost sales. The customer does not accept the proposed delivery date, and the sales representative concludes that, if we can't make it within the time requested, we can't adhere to the customer request. The order is lost, but kept in the system, so that we can see how our service levels perform. When pressing continue, meaning you do not confirm the order, and you fix the quantity and date, then the demand is not relevant to MRP and does not show up in MD04. This is a situation that can absolutely occur, and should be considered. Now the last option the sales rep has for an MTO availability check is one where the customer insists on the requested delivery day. The day the customer wants the product lies before the end of the replenishment lead time, and the sales representative attempts to negotiate with production to expedite and to try whatever possible to meet the date. The order is not confirmed. Therefore you press continue, and the date is not fixed. That means that the demand becomes relevant for MRP, and during the next MRP run, a planned order will be generated. This planned order has an exception message 30, which means it cannot be executed to the requested end date using regular scheduling. It needs expediting. Because the date and quantity is not fixed, the sales order will participate in the next rescheduling, which it should, because then we have the planned order in place. This is the only instance where, in an MTO situation, the quantity and dates should not be fixed. In a make-to-stock environment the situation is similar, but not the same. Forecasts are consumed, and the availability check calculates without the replenishment lead time, which means that the availability check might not confirm to just any date outside the lead time, but might not allow a confirmation at all. When an availability check with replenishment lead time is performed, the check is limited to that lead time horizon. Every demand outside the replenishment lead time is automatically confirmed and accepted. In a check without replenishment lead time, the system checks dates over the entire horizon, and if there is not enough stock, or not enough future receipts, the order cannot be confirmed. And that is how make-to-stock product is checked. without replenishment lead time. However, checking without replenishment lead time should not be a problem, since make-to-stock products are planned ahead of time. Ahead of an order coming in. Typically with a forecast. And when MRP runs, the forecast demand is met with planned receipts. It is because of those planned receipts, and because of a safety stock, that an availability check for make-to-stock products should always find something. Maybe not to the required delivery date, but it should find something in the future. Also, any demand transferred to MRP is going to consume these forecasts, so that the plan is matched against actual demand. Let's have a look at the various options we have for make-to-stock products. In our first case, the delivery is accepted to either the requested delivery date by the customer, or the customer accepts the delivery proposal. Demand is transferred to MRP accordingly, and the delivery of the goods is scheduled, and the forecast consumed by the dates accepted. You should always fix the date and quantity, and hit the check mark when a customer agrees to your proposal. If the order is not fixed, then the dates which were agreed with the customer are ignored in MRP, and the planner must schedule to different dates. These dates are earlier, and therefore the planner is forced to firefight and expedite all the time. The next option describes that dilemma. In the second case, a customer accepts the delivery proposal after the requested date could not be promised. However, by confirming the delivery proposal, but also not fixing the date, the demand is transferred to production to the originally requested delivery date. Here is a discrepancy between what the customer accepts and what is being communicated to MRP. This option should not be executed, since option 4, which does not confirm the delivery proposal, is a much better alternative. Situation 3 is typical in a situation when the customer is lost. The sales order could not be confirmed because it exceeded the forecast and the customer does not accept a later delivery. Therefore the sale is lost. You can keep the order in the system if you fix the quantity and date and click on Continue. The demand is not transferred. The required quantity is set to 0. And the forecast, if there was one, is not consumed. This situation happens when the actual demand exceeds the forecast, and you simply are out of stock. Transferring the demand to MRP anyway would result in an overload on the production department. Chances are, you would never get that product anyway. And in the last option, the order can again not be confirmed anymore. There is simply no stock or future receipt in the system that could fulfill the customer order's demand. We have simply planned too little, and the safety stock was not sufficient. In a situation like this, you can either accept the lost sale as in the option before, or you can create additional demand, and ask the production department to expedite and try to fulfill the customer demand as soon as possible. In that case you proceed as in this option. You do not confirm the order, and you do not fix the dates. This causes the creation of an additional planned order during the next planning run, and the sales order will then be confirmed to that planned order's end date during backorder processing. These are the 8 options a sales representative has to his or her disposal during an availability check. It is imperative that the sales representative, or planner, understands the implications for the supply chain upstream, and works accordingly. There should be an effort in place to coordinate these actions between sales and production. This concludes the class. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I will gladly assist.